Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this segment of Nile Cruise. And with us, we're very pleased to be talking today about documentaries, about art, about films. And it's very interesting, especially after the Egyptian revolution. Even before, there were many documentaries that were investigative or that sought out things that people weren't really thinking about, or even places that people weren't looking at historically. And so we're very pleased to have with us Ahmed, who is both a journalist and a director. Hello. And you've produced the movie Data Makan about downtown Egypt. And downtown Egypt is very historical, and it was where most of the protests occurred and where most of the revolution occurred. So.
Welcome here. Actually, I didn't produce the film. I'm the filmmaker. I'm the author of the film. I wrote the script and I directed it, but it was produced by a small film production house called Handmade Studios. They are
What
bunch of
made
friends.
you think of? Was it your idea?
It wasn't my personal idea. It was a result of group thinking with my fellow producers, Handmade Studios. We started from the idea of searching about the relationship between a place and a creator. You know, like there are always this unique relationship between a creator, whoever he is, a writer, a musician, a filmmaker, and a certain place, whether it's the place he was born in, he was raised in, or whatever. We started looking about this topic, how much the relationship between creation and belonging to a place. That's where we started the idea. Then we tried to find a proper example for our research, and we found this writer, this famous writer, Mr. Makawi Said. He's a novelist and a short story writer. He was nominated for the Booker Prize, which is the best award, the biggest award in the literature. And he was born, raised, and lived all his life in downtown. And he wrote about no place other than downtown. All his novels and his short stories is happening in this place. So we have this person. The place, of course, is very unique and have its own long history and many interesting stories and characters, and it's binding to Egyptian history, especially. And the third thing that recommended the person and the place is there was a result, a book called Downtown Holdings, مقتنيات وسط البلد, written by Makawi Said. In this book, he collected like 40-something stories about persons and places and stories he lived in his whole life in downtown. So that was the beginning of the project. We talked with him, with Mr. Makawi Said, and he was very interested in making the movie, and that's where we began.
You participated as well in festivals, right?
Yes. Actually, my first profession is a professional film critic, and that made it easy for me to be in many festivals, either in Egypt or outside it. For example, nowadays I'm the head of selecting committee of Ismailia Film Festival. We are working on selecting between like 700 or 800 movies to collect maybe 70 or 80 movies to be participated in the festival. I also was in the selecting committee of
What kind of movies?
Ismailia have 4 competitions, one for long documentaries and short documentaries, short feature movies and animation. So we are collecting those kinds of movies.
It's perfect having a film critic here, because then you can assess the new sort of mediums, because now Egyptian directors are trying to go into the sort of non-commercial short feature movies. What do you think about that? Have you liked any so far?
Of course, of course. Of course. Actually, there were like 4 or 5 very, very excellent movies that were participated with Zata Makan in the Festival of the French Institute in Cairo. Actually, they are much better than Zat Makan.
Wow, and it's yours. So
Yeah, of course.
I like your honesty.
I'm critic.
I'm a critic. I have to be honest.
Yes.
Okay.
And most of them, we are thinking to make them participate in the festival of Ismailia because I think it's much more important and larger festival.
Definitely.
Yes.
But even when we talk about, just as you mentioned, media, talking about directors or producers of movies, nowadays we have got many of the youth who can produce a movie and it looks like a professional one.
Yes.
Just as you mentioned, as a critic, how do you see these movies on the YouTube, for example?
Yes. Actually, that was a result of both things happening, and they are very, very connected to each other. One of them is the technology revolution. That's the first thing we have to think when we talk that when you say that making film became very easy, very easier than it was before. Cameras are now easy to carry, easy to shoot.
And smaller.
Yes, smaller. They don't need much light to get the perfect image. Even the post-production steps like editing and coloring that can be made in your house on your laptop.
Yeah.
So that made it easy to produce a movie for anyone. That's the first thing. The second one is we are really passing that social movement that make everyone related to the social and political situation, making people want to spread themselves, find a way to say what they think about and what they want the
How
country
would you
to be.
evaluate these movies?
There are many kinds of them. There are very good movies and very bad movies, of course. Like in Ismailia Film Festival committee, we watched like 200 Egyptian short movies
Oh, wow.
produced in this year and the year before. Only within 2 years, they are like 200 of them. Actually, most of them weren't that good, but they tried, they made an effort, and if you try with a bad movie this year, maybe within 4 or 5 years you have a good one.
But don't you see that the audience, or rather the masses, still go for the typical Skouky Eid movie, honestly? And doesn't that upset? How can we get more audience to look at documentaries or short movies or things that are of substance or of social things? Because then when they do go to a Skouky, it's more deteriorating for the society.
Actually,
I think he should be jailed.
yes,
But anyway.
but what I think about is this, if we call it independent movies, can never be a mainstream movies, you know.
Yes.
Like the basic idea of making an independent movie is to attack the basics of the society, attack the settled ideas and settled thoughts that everyone have, or most of the people have. So trying to be independent in the mean of intellectual or of ideas, not
It's rebellious.
yes, the values, not about the money, because you can make an independent movie which is very related to the mainstream and vice versa. You can make an we already have movies produced by nation here in Egypt, and they are very independent in minds. So being a mainstream or being the preference of the public, that I think that would never happen. And if it happened, we have to rethink about what we are doing. But what we must really fight for is to find a place, to find a place to be present and to have the opportunity to say what we want to say, and that's it. That's the goal. I think that's the realistic goal, and that's the goal that matches with our thinkings and our ideas and our type of movies that I think actually it's not that very popular even in the world, even in the countries that the
Yeah,
independent
even-
movies have their own theaters and their own means of media. But in those countries also, you will find the mainstream movies collecting much
more
millions.
money. True, true.
Yes.
That's true.
What about the important movies that you produced, for example, or really the idea that attracted you to move on to just to reflect it on a movie?
I can talk about myself or about my, I can say, generation or something. For me, as myself, I try to be far from the cliches that many people try to talk about. Like in my friends and generation, many of them are dealing about social and political issues, and they
Reflecting the society.
yes, yes. Actually, some of them have made many good movies about those ideas and about this direction. But for me, I think that is more related to journalism than it's related to cinema. Like when we talk in cinema, cinema is a visual art, and when we try to choose between the visual thing and the conceptual thing or the idea, I will vote for the visual. And there was the famous director Shadi Abdel Salam.
Yes.
That was there is a very famous story when they talked about the famous movie أريد حلا. That was a very successful hit, and it even have its own effect on the laws of marriage and divorce
Yes,
in
true.
Egypt. And they asked him about his opinion on أريد حلا. He said that it's a very good movement to do, but that has nothing to deal with cinema.
Oh
That's-
God.
that can be a reportage, journalism, TV, and that opinion is his, and it's also mine, but it's not
But many
for everyone.
believe this way. Unfortunately, we're really running out of time. I would love to sit and I have so many stories to tell and so many things I want to criticize. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us. Ahmed Shawi was both journalist, film critic, and director.
Thank you.
And with that, we've come to the end of this segment of the Nile Cruise. But be sure to stay tuned for more coming up ahead.